Megan, I don't know about you, but sometimes burning bridges can cause wrinkles.
Yeah, and I have noticed I have a few of them coming in, and I'm not too happy about it.
Luckily, there's amazing places like Youth Bar that can fix all your wrinkles and all your skincare needs.
I love them, actually. I've been to Youth Bar, and they did a great job on my Botox. I want to go in for like IV treatments. They've got filler, everything. So if you want to go to Youth Bar HFX on Instagram is where to go.
And if you love burning bridges just as much as we do, right now you can use the exclusive code BRIDGESBURN for special pricing on your first Botox or filler treatment or one of their many other services.
So are we going soon?
Let's go right now.
Okay. This is Bridges Burned with Megan and Amy. If you're from Halifax, you have definitely heard this voice before.
Hi. She spent 25 years on C100 FM after moving to Halifax from Newfoundland. But not only has she graced the radio waves, she's also carried the Olympic torch and can do a mean, wicked witch cackle. This is Bridges Burned with Moya Farrell.
Hi, when you did that initially, I didn't mean to jump in there, but yeah, hi.
No, I liked it. It's off the cuff. That's radio.
So many people grew up listening to you, but we want to know how you grew up, where you grew up, and where your passion from radio came from.
Okay, well, I'm from Corner Brook, Newfoundland. I was raised with a family of 5 other brothers and sisters, so there's 6 of us. I had parents that were working parents. Hey! I have 2 Shih Tzus that I can't control when something happens. Okay, so yeah, my parents were both working parents. My dad was a doctor, and my mom was a nurse who taught surgical rotation to the RN program. So when I was growing up, we had a great life. I skied in the winter and swam in the summer, and we did all normal family stuff. My dad was from Ireland. So I, have that connection as well, the Irish connection. And I don't know what to say other than I come from a family of professionals and I chose radio.
How did they feel about that? Did they want you to become a doctor or nurse?
No, I don't think I never had any pressure from my parents to do anything. I have a brother who's a surgeon, 2 sisters who are intensive care nurses. I have a brother who's a physiotherapist. My eldest sister is she just retired, but she was a vice principal of an all-girls private girls' school in Tasmania.
Oh, wow.
Everybody so professional, all these fields. And I wanted to do radio as long as I can remember. It's in my yearbook, when you ask you in high school, what do you want to do? And I wanted to be a radio announcer. I think the reason why was because Corner Brook was a small town. And yeah, we had okay, I'm old. You're going to hear some references today that you probably think, oh, wow, she's old. But anyway, we had 2 channels on our TV, CBC and CTV. And actually at the time it was NTV. It wouldn't have been CTV. It was Newfoundland Television. But anyway, I loved radio so much. We used to have this guy in the morning that was so funny. He would just crack us up. Then at nighttime, I couldn't go to bed without the radio on. Morning, noon, and night. We used to, when our favorite, to want to hear our favorite song, we would be dialing the DJ. So it was a fun era. It was like the DJ Wolfman Jack kind of, I'm not as old as Wolfman Jack, but you know what I mean? That whole era of the DJ was like the end all be all, right?
Honestly, Moya, I remember every morning I woke up, my alarm was set for 7:10 or something like that every morning. And it would go on and it was your entertainment report on C100 every morning.
Well, I didn't start the way I start. Again, this is aging out. When I first started radio, I went to radio school in Halifax. I did the program at
NSCC? Oh, so did I.
Yeah. And so I got a job right from there. I got a job as a carter on C100. You know what a carter is? We would load all the commercials on the carts so that the announcers had them for the next day. Well, that was my start of my job. And then I got hired right out of radio school because we did a tour one day. And they phoned me and asked me, well, you were so interested. We'd love to see you come and work here. And that's how I started. I started as a carter. And this one weekend, so I didn't have aspirations for on air at the time. And this one weekend, I'm filling these carts and I noticed this sheet of commercials that weren't read. And they were only for the weekend. And they were probably 30 or 40 commercial times that were supposed to be aired, and had it not aired, it would have been a big loss for the client. And so I just sat down, read the commercials, put music behind them, carded them, and they weren't missed all weekend. But everyone was wondering, who the heck is that person on those commercials? Anyway, so the next day, the boss came in and said, Moya, did you read those commercials? At the time, it was called Music Stop. He goes, did you read those radio commercials for Music Stop? And I said, yes, am I in trouble? Anyway, they loved it. And my first thing they did was put me on for a mat leave for Stephanie Wooden, who was Sunshine Stephanie on CJCH at the time. And she went on mat leave. So that's how I started as a weather person, weather/entertainment. So that brings me back to you saying you heard the entertainment report. Initially, we were just weather girls. And later evolved into the 3-person conversational morning show.
Yeah. Kelly, Peter, and Moya is the one I heard.
Well, my first one was I was on with Jerry Lawrence, Jer Bear on CJCH. So I did that year for Stephanie Wooden's mat leave. And then they really loved that chemistry, and they had no girls. It was John Biggs so it was Biggs and Harrison for breakfast. If you remember, John Biggs and Peter Harrison. Then they asked me to join that team, and I worked with that team. I don't know how long John was there before they moved him over to CJCH when it became the rock station. CJCH became the rock station, and then it was Kelly, Peter, and Moya. And I worked with Kelly, Peter, and Moya for over 16 years.
That's crazy. Backtracking a little bit, so you're in Corner Brook, and you're like, I'm going to be in radio. How did you find the NSCC program from Newfoundland? Like, you don't have to say years, but like, you're about to leave Newfoundland, come to Halifax. What was that experience like?
Well, it was a big deal to move to Halifax from Corner Brook. But I would have liked to have maybe gone to Ryerson, but I didn't get into Ryerson. At that time, it was a very hard school to get into. And I was happy to try and come get into a program. I got accepted, and I had to wait a little while to get in. And I think my program started in like January. And but I was working for C100 by late. I didn't even graduate. Well, I did graduate because I got a job. But I mean, I didn't even do the full program at NSCC because I had a job before it completed. I did all how it was way back then. You did the morning show, and then you did middays, and then you did production, and you did news. And so I did all of those kinds of things.
And what was you said you didn't want to be on air. What were you hoping to do in radio?
I loved production. I loved creating. I was a creator. Like, I loved editing. I loved directing. I loved all of those sorts of things. And I think I did pretty good at that. I won what were those awards way back when? They probably still exist for one of the commercials I wrote. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, I love that. But anyway, it would never have been one I would have liked to continue, because I think it's, we did like Christmas shows in those days. You do a half an hour, kind of like fun show. So we did some actual directing and that sort of thing. It was fun, but I don't think I could have done that forever. So I'm really fortunate. I'm so fortunate for what happened to me, because that's literally how I got on the air, was reading those commercials that weekend. I just love that. I kind of feel like I didn't work my whole life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
What was radio like when you first started? Because you have had such a legendary career, but starting from 80s and 90s to where it is now, radio has changed so much. What was it like when you stepped in?
When I first started, we were playing records.
Oh my goodness.
And commercials were played on what looked like an 8-track. So I went from records to CDs to carded music to digital music.
Oh.
And then to actually being able, when I say digital, I mean, how after a while we were able to pre-record, we were able to record Atlantic Canada Countdown and stuff like that. So that was different. The digital stuff was not as advanced as it is now initially. It became way more advanced. And so I've seen quite an evolution. And I'm talking 45s where you used to have to put the center in, and you had to cue it up like the DJs do now with the, their headphones and everything. But I would have gone to radio school and graduated, worked at C100 in 81, 82. And then I went to Newfoundland and worked for 6 years in radio in Newfoundland. Oh, really? And then came back and took a little while to get back into C100, but I eventually did as a, I forget now I must have been going back into carding at that time. And then the rest is history, because once I started on the morning show on C100, I lived vicariously in many ways because, it was a boys' show.
Yeah, we were going to ask that. How many women in radio, or how many women were there in radio when you started?
Gosh, definitely news people in like girls. There were writers that were girls. There weren't very many announcers that were girls. They were all boys on CJCH, all of them. Included Steve Murphy doing the, talk show and everything way back when. The girls were, C100 was very, very new. Like a couple, I don't remember what year it started, but it was a couple years before me. So I got to go back and explain. I worked for C100 and then went to Newfoundland and came back and worked for C100 again. Oh. So I'm really lucky that I was able to do that. It became more like in those days, they had to fulfill certain amount of talk requirements. So if you remember, there was Nova Scotia Today and shows like that were like full on nothing but talking. And then eventually I saw that the evolution of that getting wiped away, right? Because as you know, that kind of stuff kind of went the way of the dodo bird, right? Because most people just wanted to have radio stations that were playing music and be more competitive.
Yeah. Did you kind of feel like you had to play with the boys club sort of thing? You had to behave, couldn't really tell people how you felt. If something happened, you had to kind of just go with it?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked with great people. Like you couldn't get a better person than Peter Harrison. You couldn't find a nicer guy than Kelly Latrimo. Salt of the earth. These guys were amazing to me. I don't feel the same way about some of the managers and some of the program managers. And, so I don't feel that same way because some of them were very mean, very to the point where, I've gone to counseling.
Wow.
Because of things that have been said to me over time and just, people like, I feel like counseling should go with radio announcing because seriously, like you have to live up to everybody's expectations. When I'm talking about the Joe that's driving into work that I might have said something that, or they don't like my laugh or they don't like, that I say certain words or, I've had program directors tell me I say the word great too many times or, change my laugh or, like, how do you change your laugh? Like if it's authentic, your laugh is authentic, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the need to feel accepted was there a lot. So I think when you got criticized a lot, you start beating yourself up a lot. And that's when I needed to get counseling because you couldn't talk to some of the guys, Moya, let that roll off your back or, that sort of thing, right? So you try that, but it's impossible.
Was the same thing being said to them, do you think? Like your laugh's annoying,
Absolutely not.
I think one thing we've been talking to a lot of women and a lot of them are at a radio right now. And they say that, it really is. Once we were called disc jockeys, but now it's radio personalities. And it really is. You are putting your personality out there. And when somebody or constant people are telling you that your personality is not great, it really does take a toll on your mental health.
It does. Like within the first month of me being on the morning show on C100, I was in Frank magazine. That butter wouldn't melt in my mouth.
What?
Yeah. Like, they got this new person on, C1, like, just, that got, written in a magazine and people were talking about it. And I'm thinking, hello, I'm just a little girl from Corner Brook, Newfoundland, and, trying to, make a living and have a bit of fun. But no, there's criticism everywhere. Now, it comes, and it took counseling to learn it comes from jealousy. Criticism comes from jealousy.
Were you ever written up in Frank magazine?
I don't think so. Were you?
I was.
Yeah.
When I got fired from Z103.5, they said Megan Edwards and her big boobs got fired from Z103. Number one, I did not have boobs then. So I don't know what they were talking about, but I took a screenshot. I would still have it somewhere on my Facebook or something. But I was like, what are you talking about? And also, why are you talking about my body?
Yeah.
Sick fucks.
And I feel like I think I was written up another couple of times, but it was probably like stuff I had done. But when you talk about discrepancies, so you asked me, were things like that being said? Absolutely not. They weren't. Yeah. But I also believe that I wasn't the star of the show. Like, you had to make the stars shine, and that's an important thing. So I knew what my role was, but I don't think you can have a show. I just don't think it's it's balanced, because you can't have a show with three people putting their whole lives out there, because it did evolve. Initially, I was the weather person that did, the entertainment report. And eventually I got into, became more of a 3-person show. So it took time. And my salary did kind of grow as those sorts of things that took time. But there was no way I ever, right up to the last day I worked there, that I made the same amount of money.
Yeah. Do you think, I don't know if you guys talked about this, do you think you made similar amounts?
No, I don't think so. Not initially.
No.
But again, they were, they were the stars of the show. And, you got to understand that. And I did at the time, like, I understand that I wasn't, I wasn't the same personality. I wasn't bringing the draw. But eventually I felt like I was. And I did have managers that, like, I know I can name a couple of ones that really looked after me, that were really good, because they said, you deserve to be, getting, you deserve to be being paid more. You deserve it. Before I leave, I'm making sure you get that. So that happened. And then most times I went looking to say, I deserve to be making more. I do a lot around here. I feel like I'm a team member. I'm expected to be a team member. The same things are expected of me. And so eventually I think I made a decent amount. I'm probably closer to what they were making, but I can guarantee you there was a lot of money left on the table in my career.
Cindy Day was actually telling us that a lot of times she would go out on location with like her male co-host, and they would pay him and she would get not paid, but like a bottle of wine for appearing for a public appearance or something like that. Yeah. So it's just always seems to be that balance.
Yeah. And do you think it's still happening in 2025? Because, there's a lot of females that are out there that are the stars now, that, that they were allowed to shine, do you think it still happens today?
Yes. I just came off of a morning show where I know I was making a lot less than every single male coworker or co-host that I had.
Even the least experienced ones.
Yeah. And it's like at the end, I had the same experience. Like, I've been doing this for 18 years and I feel like I was always treated like I only had 5 years under my belt. And so I would be paid less, but have to do more work. And when I tried to bring it up, it was, you're too entitled, or you don't have this experience, or you're not strong enough to be an anchor. And so it is still happening. But I think regardless, in radio today, those salaries that once existed are not what they are. So even if somebody's making more, it's not like, woo.
Yeah. Well, I know that like there were a lot of perks too.
Yeah.
Like cars and like
Did you say cars?
Did you have a car? You were given a car?
Oh.
there were perks of varying kinds, whether it was that or, gas cards or, things like that. Right. So there were perks as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that I think about radio today is that, and look, they're challenged in their own way because of the way the world is going. Right. So I feel like they, not to be defending, but they have a challenge now. Like, you're fighting everything to try and get people to listen to your morning show or your afternoon show or whatever. So I do believe that, it's harder for them to make money, especially with all the streaming TV. And I can watch TV on my phone now. I don't have to, I can drive to Halifax and have something playing in the background that, it's not radio. It's something different, right? So I do believe the challenge is there, and I understand that. But at the time when I was going, they were making oodles and oodles and oodles of money.
Yeah. Was there ever a time in your career where you were like, this is just too much and I want to get out?
There was, because of a certain manager. I actually went and got my real estate license and tried to start a real estate career. Because thinking I just can't do this. It was too much on and when you say mental health, I know it kind of is, but it was more about self-esteem. It was more about, needing to love myself and that kind of thing. And there were certain people that were making that very difficult. And so I thought, I don't need this, but I need to have an income. I need put my daughter through school and university, etc. And so luckily I failed. I didn't fail. I did okay in real estate, but I didn't fail that. I didn't do as well as I could have. I didn't want to give up my career to go do that. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, then that person was no longer working there, and my life was heaven after that.
Can you tell us some of the things that happened with that manager?
Just more about, like, I was never good enough. I couldn't make that man happy if my life depended on it.
Do you think some of that was to do with you being a woman and he wasn't, or just as
not, okay, I'm not Peter Harrison. I'm not Kelly Latrimore or whoever we were working with at the time. They're all different personalities. And I think I think I'm a wonderful person. I have a great personality and I don't understand why it was squashed.
Yeah.
You know, and why they, you put yourself out there. And eventually, like before, we weren't allowed to talk about our families.
Is that right?
Oh, initially, you were not allowed to talk about anything, like nothing personal. You were never allowed to mention if you were married, if you had kids. That was what it was like. It was all the stuff with skits, and it was kind of like, I guess, skit oriented. Because initially, when we were all kind of reading from scripts initially. It eventually became like, oh, I think radio needs to be more authentic. We want to meet the real people and get to know the real people. And that's when it became a far better show, a far better experience. And you didn't have to feel, oh no, I said something I shouldn't have said. You said something because it's from your own experiences, right?
Yeah.
And I went through a divorce on the air. I went through a divorce with someone that was working in television right next door, right? He would be on our morning show every single day playing whatever, breakfast television something, or I forget what it was now. But
did the listeners know that you guys were married?
Yeah.
And did they know then when you were getting divorced?
But in those days, no, because our personal lives weren't on the radio.
Then, yes.
But I tell you, after my divorce, and we started opening up more. Kelly and Peter were trying to find me a boyfriend, and so as that happened, it was a lot more fun, right? Because we were able to do more personal stuff. I mean, I don't feel like it took a really long time for that to happen, but initially we were just kind of, doing things to have fun, like the top 10 things said on this, or the funny skit from Saturday Night Live last night, or, those that kind of radio back then. Right. And then eventually it got to be, like, oh yeah, Moya was at something last night and she met this guy and now they're going out on a date on the weekend. It became more personal that way.
Did you have more fun on radio when you could be just yourself and share your life?
Yeah, because I think that I was never meant to, I didn't really love all the skit stuff. And I mean, it wasn't my forte.
25 years doing mornings. How?
26, because I did Stephanie too. That was a morning show.
How was that for you? Waking up early every morning? Did you have a hard time with that schedule?
I loved it. I'm a morning person, so I think that's lucky. I found it hard. There were nights you'd be out at events till like 10 or 11 o'clock at night and have to get up at 3:45 in the morning. But you get used to it. I love mornings. I do it now, especially in the summertime when it's bright. I prefer to be up. I remember I used to drive to work and I'd see people's kitchen lights on or someone within a window. And I used to think I was the only one awake at that hour in the morning driving to work. And I'd see people in the window and I could see the light and I go, wish I could be home having a cup of tea now with my, in the dark or whatever. But it was a fact of life. And look, I tell you, went through a divorce. I had a 4 to 5 year old, had to find a babysitter.
Oh, wow.
It was not easy. It was not like some of the challenges that I went through trying to keep that job. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to move home. Like I could have moved home and gone home with my parents, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be successful enough that I could take care of myself. I didn't need to be a star of any sort, but I did want to be able to make enough money to support myself.
Did you feel like as a woman, you're a single mother at, trying to raise and do this schedule? Did you feel like you had to keep it really together to prove yourself as a woman in media at that time? Yeah.
And never, you could never let your guard down for 1 minute. I did have a couple of really close friends that I could go and talk to and say, I'm having a really hard time. Talk me off the ledge sort of thing. Like I did have that. And Peter and I are still really close friends. Right. So, he's like, I call him my brother, me brother from another mother. Anyway, no, I needed to have that. You need to have that support. You're not taking it seriously. And if you know what I mean when I say that, I mean, I'll go on, don't So I did deal with quite a bit of that, and I feel again, blessed because I did work with great people, physically people that were on the air with me. So they were really good. We would have powwows and, you got to let let it go, and that and all of that. So I had a great support team. I really can't complain about that. It was just when I say the support team, I mean the guys I was working with on the morning shows. I had 100% respect from all of them. And I feel that, and I don't know what they would say if they heard me say this, but I feel like I always knew my place. And I know that, like, a lot of times it was hard to get a word in edgewise because some people that think highly of themselves love to talk a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So in order to be seen or heard, sometimes I had to put my foot in there sometimes, and I hope not, but maybe sometimes it was seen as me trying to be heard. But it was more about, if I'm going to be there, I want to have my opinion heard. And then, and there were lots of times where it was really hard to get that in there because of the fact that some people don't like other people to shine. So there were occasions of that. There were, yeah. On the other hand, I was complimented a lot. I was, I feel like I was told on many occasions that I was the heart and soul of the morning show because I'm a old softie, a very big empath. And I just feel like that kind of side is a nice side to share.
Yeah.
Because I think it shows your humanity. And, you don't always have to be this plastic person that, wouldn't let their guard down. And my guard was down a lot. And I think people liked that.
Absolutely.
There were times I cried on the air because of bad stuff happening. So.
Yeah, that's very, authentic.
Like my dad died on the air. So I had a full-term stillbirth that we talked about on the air and stuff like that. So, there are things that when you get to show that you're human. I loved those days. Those were the most important things. And when Peter became a father and we named his baby, and so we had I just think about so many amazing things that we did that was fun. I just think a lot of it's gotten lost in the corporate world now.
I was going to ask, did you ever have someone, I know we work in radio, but did you ever have a manager or somebody like that who was telling you had to look a certain way or act a certain way?
I was just going to tell you that I always had a face for radio. I was over the big girl, I shouldn't be on television, that kind of stuff. Yeah, for sure.
By a boss or by
by one guy, one person that, I forget who was leaving. One of the people was leaving the television station. Our building was right in the same, before we built the new radio station, Think Palace. We were all in the same building. But anyway, I forget who was leaving, and I went to audition to do the weather, and I was told I was too big.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
How did you take that in and go home?
Well, again, it comes down that whole self-esteem thing. My husband today would tell me I still have self-esteem issues because of, some of the feelings about my career, some of the things that happened during my career. Mm-hmm. But it's balanced, it's balanced too. Again, so many great things happened that, but when you come home after something like that, it makes you want to, don't tell me I'm overweight or that I'm a big girl. I've known that for my whole life. Do you think I'm not trying to battle it? Do you think I'm not, and my height size has not changed that much over my lifetime. I mean, my mother had me on my first diet when I was 13. I should have gotten my mother.
Yeah, it's her fault.
Oh my God.
How did you feel then? Because you went, we're talking about how radio changed and you were, still working there when social media was very active and we had to be on social media. Were you ever shy to be on camera because of those comments or take a picture?
So we used to do things like be the spokesperson for LA weight loss. So I would be the person that would be doing that and doing public. Again, it comes down to, because we're in the media and we see what other people see and the expectations of our world because of media. And magazine covers and movie stars and all that. Even Oprah Winfrey now looks like she's a size 8. So everybody, I think that everybody's perception of what we should be like is based on something that's not real.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of beautiful people in the world that look gorgeous, that have the best bodies and all that kind of stuff. But there's also lots of really good people that might be 10 or 20 pounds overweight, that it's been a constant battle my whole life.
Yeah.
And I'm not going on Ozempic or anything like that to try and lose any weight. I'm going to keep it real. If I got to lose 20 pounds, then I got to lose 20 pounds. And I don't mean to get on this weight subject. I'm sorry.
No, I think it's very important because in media, especially, and especially for women, there's a lot of men on TV that don't look so great, but they get to be on TV. But for women, there's a different kind of pressure to look a certain way.
I also think about imaging for your show.
Yeah.
Imaging for your show over the years and, headshots instead of full, or whatever, right? And so I think I believe that a lot of times it was kind of done differently because of, I wasn't the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, beauty. And sadly, that's what it was in my day. It was the pretty girls and and I'm not talking about 2020, whatever year I finished, 2027. I finished in January 2017, I think. I'm talking about even earlier than that. Like in the early 80s when I was in radio and doing my show, there are 50 people that want my job. 50 other girls that have better looks and better, like whatever. But I'm not giving up my job. Yeah. But they're ready to take it for the second you fell or plundered or whatever, whatever. They were waiting for you to be outcast or whatever, right? Do you understand what I'm saying? That
absolutely. Did you feel like you had to have your guard up with these other women and be like, you're not getting my job this time soon?
Well, so I'm a nice person. I'm a really I really am a nice person. And I feel like I mentored some of these young girls over the years. So I, would always encourage them. But, you got to wait for mine.
Yeah.
If you want my job, you got to wait for it. And I left on my own terms. Like I was ready. I was ready to be done. Again, I talk about the corporate part where you don't know your owners anymore.
Yeah.
We knew our owners originally, and you knew your managers, and you knew your, and then we weren't allowed to do anything. Like we used to take pride in being first with some like gossipy stories, and we used to love all that. And then eventually that kind of stuff had to be approved, and it had to go through whatever, all the upper management, and it had to make sure it had to be a source from this company, and that, our hands got tied quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky enough, first of all, 3 degrees of separation or whatever it is. I actually worked with her ex-husband in Ottawa. Oh my God. Yeah. So I knew him, but then I also got to work with this amazing person, a legend in Halifax. And I remember when you were doing mornings, your husband lived in Cape Breton. And so you were just like commuting every weekend. Yeah. How was that for you?
So we commuted for 10 years, actually.
It was 10 years you did that?
Well, I had a really good job in Halifax. He had a really good job in Cape Breton. And how do you, I didn't want to leave my job. And Shannon was still in high school when he first started. And then we were helping her go through university. And so I've always felt that I needed to work to be able to support all of that. And he, would have wanted me to leave my job. No question. Kevin's amazing. And, but the worst part is I left my job on January 2017. Anyway, I'd have to look it up. I can't remember.
I have a picture of us on I think it was it just popped up in my memories this week of it was you're coming to your last day. I think we announced it. So it was
So it was at Christmas. It was Christmas. So I worked, I had vacation till the end of the year, and January 1st was my first day of retirement, or however it worked out. Anyway, his job was eliminated. Oh. And since I've been moved to Cape Breton, he's commuting now.
Oh, stop. Really?
We're now into 18 years of commuting.
So wait, you commuted every single morning?
No. Weekends. I get off here on Fridays. Okay. And if I didn't have a remote on the weekend, I would drive to Cape Breton. Okay. And if I had a remote, he would come back to Halifax or something. We made it work, obviously. But now he lives he's moving from Iqaluit to Yellowknife now. Because he works for Northwest Tel, and he's got a really great job up there, and there's not a lot of jobs on Cape Breton Island for his qualifications. So, and he's younger than me, so he's my sugar daddy.
Yes, ma'am. You tell him what's up.
Well, I worked hard my whole life, and I've saved for my retirement, so it's all good. I do have a couple little part-time jobs to keep me busy, reason to get out of bed in the morning. But no, if you're wondering, do you miss your radio job? Do you miss radio?
I do not.
Oh.
I am still unlearning it.
You're probably reeling still from being let go.
I think so. Or just little things like when something silly happens to me and it's like show prep right away in your mind, like, oh, I could talk about this tomorrow. Or you see something and you like, that's the unlearning I'm learning. But I also, when I was in radio school in Ottawa, we had to interview disc jockeys. And I interviewed this woman named Sandra. I don't remember her last name, but she said something to me that always sticks. She said, women know when to walk away from the mic, whereas men, you'll have to pull their dead bodies from that wheelie chair behind the board. And I kind of look like, you got to leave on your own terms. Peter Harrison, who we still talked about, he's still in the game, killing it. Were you happy with the time that you walked away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the last little bit, my heart wasn't where it should have been. Like I felt like a little bit of, not resentment, but a little bit of our hands started getting more tied, and you could feel that crunch of like, wow, are they going to, become a two-person morning show? Like it was around that time where, you know what? I feel like I worried about my job. I worried about being let go of my job for 25 years on C100. I really did. I don't know how many people do what I did, but we went through 52 books. I think we counted 52 or 54 books in my career. And in those days, they were books. They were ratings books, right? So we would have a ratings, and like you always thought, oh my God, if the ratings are bad, I'm going to lose my job. Mm-hmm. So you always were. I think I felt that my whole career. And when I finally left, I went, oh, I don't have to worry about losing my job anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And because it's personality driven, all I had to have was a program director that didn't like me, and I'd be given the flick.
Absolutely.
Right? So, and I just feel like it was the perfect time. Nice. I really do. I was 55 at the time. I'd been through like editing audio tapes, and you guys probably have no clue about any of that. Have you ever?
I didn't do that.
Edited like physical tape?
Yeah, real. Yeah. I actually remember you brought it in once. You had a handwritten letter for a job that you wanted, and you had the paper, and you're like, "This is what I had to do back in the day."
Yes, I still have that. I didn't get rid of it. But yeah, it's there's some things that some amazing memories. I traveled a lot. I worked with, we've done lots of celebrity interviews and things like that. But no, the worst part of it was just the whole, whether you were always wondering if you were good enough.
Yeah. I think that was the same for me too. For years, I also worried that I was going to get laid off. Anytime there were layoffs, I was like, oh, it's not me. Okay, cool. But I came to a point where I was like, I'm so sick of being treated like this. And I went in one day and I said, like, are you guys ever going to promote me or whatever? And she was like, basically, no. And then I was told that if I needed to make more money, then I should get another job, like in addition to the radio job that I had. And it was in that point, I was like, yeah, I'm done. And I gave them a huge notice, a few weeks. And I was just like, and she goes, well, maybe we can figure something out. I was like, no, I'm done. And it felt in my soul I was finished. And that's actually the best feeling ever. Because I've been laid off too. You don't feel like you're finished when you get laid off. But when you choose, you're done.
That's right. I gave them a year's notice.
Oh my God.
How special did I think I was?
You were special. I mean, honest to God, 26 years doing a morning show. That is unheard of at the same station. Like, and you have such a legacy. And even when you left, like it was, like people still remember your name and woke up to you. That is such a beautiful thing, Moya. And that's something you take away and you're just like, I fucking did it.
Well, I do feel that way. I just say, that now in my lifetime, I remember way back when, while I was waiting for my radio school to start, because you had to wait. I think it was a 12-month year program, and when people got out, then someone else came in. So I feel like mine was January or February or August, whatever it was. I was working in a camera shop in Corner Brook, waiting for my job to start because school had finished, and I was waiting to go to radio school. So now I was working, and this beautiful photographer came, and I was working with her, and she just said, Moya, please don't ever change your personality. Don't let the bastards bring you down. Anyway, I said to her, okay, well, I don't really know what that means, but 30, 40 years later, I know exactly what it means because she said, don't let them change you.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens. You get changed because of your life experiences. And sometimes that's really good. And sometimes it's not really good. And so some of the stuff that I don't like, I feel maybe because of some of the challenges I went through with self-esteem issues and that sort of thing. But I also now think, now I'm fighting to get, like, I talk too much. I still try to get too much. I want to give my opinions in there because you know how it felt like it was a battle sometimes when two guys are talking all the time and you want to say something, and by the time you say it, you forget what you're going to say anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? So that's another part of my job that I feel like took away from it, just always trying to interject some kind of conversation.
For all your fans that miss you on air, what are your life updates now? You are a grandmama.
I am. I have 2 grandchildren. Well, Shannon was my only child.
Yeah.
And our only child. And so she is only going to have 2 children. Okay. And she's already had them. Colin and Nora. Colin's 7 and Nora's 5. Huh. And they live in Halifax and I live in Cape Breton. So I go to Halifax a lot. Mm-hmm. And I love them. Like, okay, you can't explain what love for a grandmother is. And your grandkids, it's so different and so amazing. I think I love them more than Shannon. Don't tell her that. Anyway, so that's a really great part of my life. I live on the ocean here in Cape Breton, and I have 2 dogs that they keep me company. And I teach a little bit of quilting and bag making. I'm like, I make bags. They call me the bag lady. So I'm teaching a class tomorrow. I teach classes, and I also love that I have these hobbies. And I think that brings me back to way back when you were asking me about my first job, like how I was a carter and wanted to be a producer. I feel like I've always loved creating. And so I still love to create things. Like I make my own designs, and so I really love that. It's not quilting like old granny stuff anymore. It's like a lot of fun, projects and things to keep me busy.
That's good. You need that. You need to be busy.
Yeah, you do. And one of the other things too that happens is, this is the bad part. And I don't know, like if you are you both working right now? Like this is obviously.
No, we're both unemployed.
Well, all day, girl. We can talk for hours.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is that I've stopped working on my own accord. And when you don't have a reason to get out of bed in the morning, you lose your purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people that can't wait to retire don't plan on.
Yeah.
Because I think it's obviously you're nowhere near that at this stage. You're both going to get great jobs and you're going to both be very happy. But what I mean is that when it's time to retire, it's impossible to imagine how different it is to every morning that you used to be, oh my God, I can't miss work. I'm sick today, but I can't miss work because they need me, or, all the reasons why every single day you got up and go to work. Mm-hmm. That changes a lot when you don't have that anymore, and you just need to have some kind of plan. But I have to tell you, the boys will probably tell you, I might have missed 3 weeks of work in my 26 years.
Wow.
Never missed, and it was mostly because of laryngitis and I couldn't talk.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So just when you do a show like that, you just feel like, if you're not there, you're putting people out because you have certain chores on your job that you needed to do. So so that was a huge change for me, from people needing me to nobody needing me.
Did you not take vacation ever? Like a long vacation?
I took vacation, but I'm talking about sick days.
Yeah. Okay.
And if we took vacation days, we took vacation out of ratings. Yeah. If there were blackout periods, you weren't allowed to go.
I hated those September weddings. It's like, I cannot come to your wedding.
So many September weddings that people, when I was in Vancouver, they wanted me to travel back to Halifax for. I was like, I can't. Yeah, I can't.
Wow. My brother and sister-in-law, who now my sister-in-law passed away, I missed their wedding it was October 2nd or something like that. And I couldn't go. And they got married in Jamaica. And I couldn't go because we weren't allowed to take the time off work. So yes, you took time off work, but sometimes you both took, there were times when we could both be gone and there would only be one, and the people that filled in it was a whole new show. So that was when we took vacation, essentially it was another show. Like it wasn't Kelly Peter and Moya, or John Peter and Moya, or Brad Peter and Moya, or Peter Moya and JC Douglas. I went through a few Morning Men.
Yeah. You've been around. Actually, they've been around. You stayed put.
Yeah.
For anybody in media, younger women who are going to be getting into media, what message would you like to give them?
Don't. No, I don't. I think like no. Okay, I don't have any faith in media anymore. I'm sorry. I don't. I feel like yeah. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think the competition is healthy. I don't think the image is healthy. We take like Halifax is a small town, really, in the grand scheme of things. Like, yeah, you can do media in Halifax and have fun and not be scrutinized that way. But I feel like it's a hard game. It's a hard battle. Like, find your passion and do something that you love. Because if you love what you're doing, you're not working. How many times have you heard that?
Yeah.
You don't ever work a day in your life if you love what you do. I feel that about my job, but I also have scars.
Yeah.
And, some things that I wouldn't talk about, but I do have scars that, they will be buried with me. Because of, and so I don't think it's an easy career. I think it's very competitive. I think that there's too much emphasis on looks and, being, skinny and not having wrinkles. Like, look at me now. I mean, I've got jowls and like crow's nests and I got, my point is you're being judged every second of every day. And I don't like that judgment. I think there's a lot of amazing humans out there that are overlooked because of they don't fit that bill.
All that what I noticed is that your hair is a little longer. You look the same from the last time I saw you, like almost 10 years ago.
Well, my hair is longer because of COVID. Oh, I couldn't get my hair cut for 2 weeks.
And you just left it that way for 5 years?
Yeah. So, I have like, I just want to give you an example like of what I'm talking about. Do you think I'm being really critical of saying don't go into media? Like,
no. I think that's your honest opinion. That's how you really feel. I think you should say that.
Absolutely.
I have like family that I love that, I have to lose weight because my bum is too big, or I have to get my hair is too thin, or I have to, I've got to lose 5 pounds. Like I'm not like they're so critical. Everybody's so critical. And the only reason why is because they compare themselves to people in the media, people that work in the media that look amazing. But I'm talking about how the media portrays celebrity is worshipped and it's not attainable. I know I have a family member that they might want to get into media, and I say, do you understand that it's going, like, how competitive it's going to be? You're, like, good luck in the first place trying to get a job in radio, because I think it's not easy. They're downsizing everywhere. All the companies are downsizing. And, if you want to get into media, start a podcast. Do something that people are going to find interesting. Do something that's like that you feel there's a market for, or something like that. Going in and doing what some big wigs that get consultants from God knows where. That's one thing I hated. We had an American consultant telling us how to do our show.
We had a consultant that didn't even live here. He was from Toronto.
Wasn't he 95 too?
Well, he wasn't, but his ideas were. And it was just like, he doesn't know how Halifax works. And you have somebody from another market trying to tell you. And it's like, but it doesn't work here. And it's the separation. But same thing too, like you're saying, we used to have to take videos every morning of the day, and I would have people comment like, oh, did Amy only sleep like 2 hours? Like, why are I so puffy? It's like, I probably did only sleep 2 hours, and I'm not about to put makeup on at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm just not. I'm not that person. But then, you never really kind of want to show your face or your eyes. Like, to this day, I'm like, oh God, my eyes are puffy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So judgment, right? Always judged.
Yeah.
But also, like, we would have listeners that would call and say, you shouldn't be on the radio. Like, you whatever. Like, I mean, I didn't get that a lot, but we have it. It's happened enough that 99 people might tell you you're wonderful, but the one person that says you suck, that's going to keep you up at night.
Yeah,
Right?
it does.
So,
I remember people requesting songs, and whatever I could play it. If I could, I would play it, but usually I couldn't. And I remember them calling me back and calling me a whore, a slut. And I was like, are you out of your mind? It's a song. Like, chill. But you're right. I probably had like 10 calls that were great. And this one, especially that time, I was so new to radio. I thought about it for probably about 5 years. I probably thought about it every day for about 5. Like, I probably ruminated over it forever.
There are still things I think of today, to this day.
Yeah.
You know, you were talking, like, I was thinking about what are we going to talk about and how am I going to sound and all that kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, well, what would I talk about that would be interesting? And like all the negative stuff came up to my head.
Yeah.
It's all negative stuff. So when I think about and look, I was raised in a very loving family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't have low self-esteem, I don't think, from my family per se. You know, maybe a little bit of competition amongst brothers and sisters, but other than that, that's normal. So I don't feel like I started my life with low self-esteem, but I still have it. And I really feel like a lot of it is because of what happened in my career.
Yeah.
And never feeling good enough. And that would go back to, I don't make as much as they do because I'm not good enough, or I'm not as good as them. So, you know, like it comes out in many ways, but it happened because I didn't get as much money as they did. Was I, you know, maybe I wasn't as good as they were, but when you have people telling you you're not as good, that's what sticks, right? And so, you know, managers that were doing that, consultants that were telling me stuff that I should be doing that we're not doing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, well, you should sit back in the background a little bit more.
Oh.
You know? Yeah. Or, you know, be a little bit more off mic so your laugh isn't so loud.
Oh my God.
Or, you know, like, you know, so I can go on with like lots of different things, but they don't add up as much as they hurt, they pinch, you know, they're the things that are hard to forget.
What was one or a few amazing memories that you have from radio? I always remember you guys doing breakfast in Barbados. Was that fun?
So I think we've done, I counted that I've been to Disney World 17 times.
Oh my God.
Those were for broadcasts. We did a lot of broadcasts from Walt Disney World, and there's nothing like going to Walt Disney World when it's a media event, because they close the park for you, and you just go on everything and ride everything, and they feed you, like there's food everywhere. There's it's just amazing. So I always remember this one story. When Kelly and Peter, we were doing Rock and Roller Coaster, and it was the new Aerosmith ride and I'm a little nervous of heights and roller coasters, but they made me do it. And went through once, and the second time, come on, Moya, we're doing it again. So we went through once. By the second time, I could hardly walk. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. And they had to take care of me because I was puking in the garbage can. And
oh my God.
Anyway, so that was a lot of fun. We did lots of several breakfasts in Barbados. We did one in Jamaica. We did Killington, Vermont a few times skiing. I'm a big time skier, growing up in Newfoundland. And yeah, but you know, some of the fun memories, I remember when Kelly and Peter, they wanted to wear shorts till December 31st. And if they could wear shorts until December 31st, I had to jump in Halifax Harbor.
No. And it was dirty back then.
Oh, yeah. So can you imagine? Now you wonder why I say they wanted to wear their shorts till the end of the year, but I had to jump in Halifax water. So I had to do a lot of like kind of weird stuff like that.
Did you jump in the water?
I only went up to my neck, and I wore leggings and everything. And they said it didn't count because I didn't duck my head. And I said, I'm not ducking my head.
What year was that? Because I don't think you could safely swim in Halifax Harbor till like 2010.
Oh, no. This was when Black Rock Beach or something like that. What was the name of that little beach?
In Point Pleasant Park?
No, yeah, in Point Pleasant Park. Yeah, Black Rock. That's where I had to do it.
The sewage. Oh my God. Just growing up here and seeing the sewage that I saw, I can't imagine.
I know, but it ebbs and flows. I don't know if it was that bad, but I did go.
Well, you're still here, so it wasn't that bad.
I went home and had a shower right away. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So anyway, I'm not as you know, I don't have a lot of things that I'm going to say that would be, you know.
No, but this is your experience. And I think just like you're talking about body image or being too much or being told that you're too much, you know, those are things that resonate for sure.
And it's your experience.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we're talking to people in media this season, but, you know, we want to talk to other women who are in very male dominant boys clubs, kind of, whether it's the military or lawyers, because I feel like we want these jobs so bad and we want them to work out, and we have to play by the boys' rules in certain ways and repress a lot of our feelings so we're not difficult or hard to work with. And
yeah,
you know, so
that's a balance. That's a tightrope.
it is a tightrope. And I think that's why a lot of us have like that's the mental health of, well, we're not good enough. And then the criticism and then the books and you're always being judged, but that's part of our job, So it does play a lot on, not saying that the men have it easy because it's not an easy industry at all, but the women definitely have it harder.
Mhm.
Yeah. I also think like people that like the jobs are becoming less like there are a lot less jobs available. So I think that makes that criteria the competition ramp up.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's another issue that, the cream of the crop, like, and who chooses cream of the crop? Typically the men.
Yeah.
Right. So, and who knows how they figure that out. I don't know.
I'm still very surprised they have the NSCC course still going on to this day.
Do they?
Yeah.
As far as I know, yeah. I'm like, where are these people working? Where are they going?
I have no idea. I think they
Murray.
Poor Mac.
or they probably take money, like they'll, the people are still willing to pay for it, so they're going to offer it. But
Yeah.
I know that I just don't know if someone asked me what would I do today to get a job in radio or in media, and I'd say I have no clue other than go to a very reputable school, because I don't think NSCC is going to cut it anymore. I love NSCC, and it was a great program for me, but I don't know that there are many people getting jobs the way I got.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, honestly, starting a podcast, I've also seen a ton of people on TikTok, for example, doing their own like news updates about celebrity news or day-to-day news. I'm like, you can make your own career nowadays. You don't have to do it like we did it. You can literally make your own job these days.
TikTok and Reddit are the number one places for news that people go to these days. And I think too, we've talked to a lot of people about this when it comes to the news, and these big corporations have taken local news out of those rural places that need the news the most.
And there's nothing like, even a radio station here in Sydney.
Yeah.
They are repeated from Ottawa. Their morning show is people in Ottawa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. Like when I was in radio, we did it because people wanted to know what's local. Where's the traffic problem? What's the weather? Is my kid going to school today? Is it canceled? Is there a snowstorm? Like, I mean, that kind of stuff is not available anymore. Although the second you pick up your phone, that's why I'm saying the competition is so hard for anybody. And like, I don't know what's going to happen. They need to reinvent themselves, radio and television. But I also think I had to do a lot of shit jobs because of the fact that I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I had to do some of the stuff that they wouldn't be bothered doing. Yeah. And some of it, like, you didn't care because you had to do it because, you wanted to keep your job.
Yeah.
So that's the problem, right? That's the whole thing. You did what you had to do. So anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. I hope things go really well for you guys. Like, this is exciting.
It is.
Anyway.
Thank you so much for chatting with us. It's been great.